Welcome to the think tank. Today, I once again want to go over the Moscow situation with these kids. Hi there, Jessica. So I do have a little bit to go through, and I've also put up some of the releases that the police have. Oh, Jack. Yeah, I do believe he is at the sorority, if I remember correctly. Let's take a look here. Let's get her done. Are you guys dealing with good weather? We've got about 6 inches of snow and it's not giving up. Okay. Let's start here. Yes, right, Jessica? I know there's a lot of speculation about him as well. I do believe you're right that he did get the boot out of that sorority. Hi, Sally. 50 degrees Fahrenheit. We are at about minus 29 Celsius. I'm in the Canadian Rockies. I love it, but I'm not a big snow person. Okay, so let's take a boo at this. Start here. So this here is Kaylee's dad. The family is having a problem. They want more information shared. We'll take a fast look. I think they need to keep information close to the
video
vest,
is
but
now
I understand
40% off.
parents.
Turn your brand promo videos into trending.
Okay, here we go.
Today marks 3 weeks since 4 University of Idaho students were brutally stabbed to death inside their home. And investigators still have not named a suspect.
Officials are combing through thousands of tips, crime scene photos, and evidence.
The father of one of those victims, Kaylee Conclave, is now revealing the manner of death for his daughter and her friend Maddie were different, leading him to believe one of them may have been the target. The heartbroken dad, Steve Conclave, joins us now. Steve, before we start this interview, I just want you to know how much our hearts go out to you. That I know from what I'm hearing from people everywhere that they are with you, they're praying for you, and they're also hoping for justice to come sooner rather than later for your daughter and her friends. You mentioned here, you talked about the manner in which Kaylee and Maddie were killed is different. And what does that tell you? And what are the police telling you that that means?
There's a couple things that tell me with common sense, but I'm not a professional, so I want to specify that. But they've said the entry point was the slider or the window. It was in the middle floor. So to me, he doesn't have to go upstairs. His entry and exit are available without having to go upstairs or downstairs. Looks like he probably may have not gone downstairs. We don't know that for sure, but he obviously went upstairs. So I'm using logic that he chose to go up there when he didn't have to. And I can kind of tell by my daughter's texts, messages. She did call 911. She wasn't saying anything along the lines of like she had heard something or she was in fear. So I'm just putting the dots together. As far as the investigators, they're very tight-lipped and they're keeping everything close to their vest. And I understand that. And I'm probably not the right person to share all these things with. So I'm just trusting them that their case is super tight.
Yeah, Steve, before.
So he has made it a little bit rough on the police. He's letting a lot of information out, and I'm not sure, like he said, if he is the right person for them to be sharing information with, because he does seem to share it with the media, which I cannot see being good for them.
Before we let you go, just share a little bit with our audience about Kaylee.
Kaylee was amazing, hard worker. She hung out with two boys, her brother and her cousin, and she was right in between them. She wanted to be faster than them. She was that girl that was like really like, she was kind of like a Punky Brewster type girl. And we missed out on a really smart person that was going to be a little conservative. She was conservative too. She was always looking up stories on child, getting trafficked, and she was telling me that she thinks it's a lot bigger than people understand. So, and we can't replace her, guys. There's no replacing any one of these people.
Steve, we're all parents on this couch, and I just can't tell you how much we feel for you, and can't imagine what you're going through, you and your whole family. And I know that you came on the show today because you're hoping that people that might have information, you're hoping that more.
So that tip line there is 208-883-7180.
Information come forward. And so we encourage anybody to call 208-883-7180. The phone number is on the screen right now. And I've heard you say it before, Steve, it could be anything. You have no idea how small a piece of information could be that could help.
And Steve, good on you for agitating. We need more men and fathers willing to do precisely what you're doing, keeping people honest and working toward a solution. God bless you.
You're doing your daughter's memory proud. And frankly, you're an amazing example of fatherhood, even after something tragic like this happened to her. Thank you for joining.
So yeah, let's see, I'll pop over to you guys. All right, I agree with you. He is bending over backwards. Hey, Blifton, nice to see you. Let's see, 45 degrees, no snow. He is saying he does in a lot of his interviews. So we just end up saying he. He's also talked a little bit about, maybe some of these suspects being ruled out too quick, but hopefully I'll take a look at one of these other things I've got to share with you, and it's probably going to be mentioned. Okay. I don't think this is the same one.
If you are type 2 and take metformin, well, check your feet and legs for these two things that I'm going to show you in this video.
Today marks 3 weeks since 4 University of Idaho students were brutally stabbed to death inside their home. And investigators still have not named the suspect.
Officials are combing through thousands of tips, crime scene photos, and evidence.
Okay, let's see here. Let's go over to this one here. There we go. Kaylee Concav's father reveals why crime scene left him thinking she could be the target. Let's take a look here.
We heard the target. I've been told that there were differences in the way that the victims were killed. Some were more severe than the other. And this week we heard the target attack walk back and then reverse it back to it being a target attack. What can you tell us about the targeted attack?
They have told us that it was targeted, but they told us they can't tell who. We asked specifically, and they said, we'll try to get that information to you. And they got back to us a day or so later, and they said, we're sorry, we can't give you that information. But then a day later, we saw in the news that it was not targeted, or they think the whole house was targeted. But
I'll cut to the chase.
Yeah.
Their means of death don't match.
Maddie's.
I found that to be shocking information. Absolutely. I had no idea.
They don't.
And Kaylee's cause of death, it does not match based on the autopsy report.
They don't match.
Would indicate that one of them.
He doesn't have
may
to go
have
up
been
the
a target.
steps. Let's stop playing games, guys. I need somebody to step up and be an alpha. Be somebody to be a leader. Don't make me do it. I don't want to do it. He doesn't have to go up the steps. Their points of damage don't match. I'm just gonna say it. It wasn't leaked to me. I earned that. I paid for that funeral. I paid for that. It's my right. You ain't taking that from me.
Calm down.
If you don't want to say nothing, that's your bet. But don't say I'm leaking anything. I paid that bill. Sent my daughter to college to get an education. She came back in the box, and I can speak on that.
Wow, hey? Isn't that something? Nice. How about we don't? So, yeah, unreal. Let's see, guys. You've been chit-chatting. Nice. I love it. There was an interview somewhere with Steve and his wife about how these people were ruled out. I think I might have that set up for us. There's a video at the memorial when all the parents spoke. Jack hugs mom and dad gives him such a look. I was waiting for him to drop dead. Seriously, I have not seen that footage. You know, for me, my opinion, he's my number one. Jack is my number one. He, to me, has got the most motive out of everybody. And allegedly, when they broke up, not only did he lose her, but all that friend group as well. So if anybody's going to be pissy, I think Jack just might. Again, speculation on my part. I've seen 3 of the roommates talked at the vigil, and the whole time they told us 2 roommates. Now there was 3. Why wasn't that mentioned from the beginning? It's like they're hiding stuff. I have to agree with you. They never mentioned that other person. It sounds like her name might be Emily. And it also sounds like she moved out towards the beginning of the semester. Let's see here. Hey, Jane. Okay, I haven't seen that yet. I'll check it out. Hey, hello, James. Scotland in the house. The 6th roommate was just on the lease, hadn't lived there in a while, was nowhere close to the house the night up. So honestly, it didn't have to be mentioned. Yeah, she wasn't part of it. Absolutely true. This dad's going to fight till the end, as he should. Well said, Jessica. But I think Kaylee's dad touched on that too. In the interview, you were mentioned, Jess. Let's see here. I wonder if the 6th was Ethan. I don't think so. I think it was a female with the first name of Emily. Ethan was staying at his sorority house where they went to that party that night. Ethan for sure lived at the frat house. Agreed, Maxie. Did he? I haven't seen that. Bet. I was just listening to Kaylee's sister. Said she tried contacting the other 2 roommates, but they hadn't called her back. Yeah, I heard something about the sister trying to contact as well, and no, nobody was answering their phones, especially Maddie. They figured once they called Maddie's, because the 2 girls were so close, with no reply, that she was included in the attack. The dad of Xana said he was glad she lived with someone and felt true love. She really had matured. Oh my God, Sally, wasn't that heartbreaking? Oh my God. Oh, Mixie. Hi, JJ. You're still paying rent, though. Are you talking about the 6th tenant? It is a strange case, James. It really, really is. So, James, you might be interested on the historic. I am. Let me see here. I've been all over the place today. I'm going to work on Herb Baumeister. I thought you might like that. I'm doing it under the historical, but I know you like the history stuff. Okay, let's see here. Let's take up Boo at all your opinions. Everything's welcome down in the description. If you want to leave anything down in the comments, go for it. I love learning. Okay, layout of Idaho College home reveals where the students' unalivings took place. Let's take a peek.
Reporting an unconscious person. The call originated from inside the residence and was made from the phone of one of the surviving roommates. The autopsies confirmed the identity of the 4 victims, determined the cause and manner of death as homicide by stabbing, and determined that it was likely all 4 victims were asleep during the attack. Some of the victims had defensive wounds, and each victim was stabbed multiple times. There was no sign of sexual assault. 2 surviving roommates were also out in the community, and they returned home at approximately 1 a.m. and did not wake up until later that morning.
How sad, hey? So it's saying
I don't think it's a good platform.
There we go. A layout and positioning of the unalivings of the 4 university students of Idaho. Idaho students found unalived in a home near the Moscow College on November 13th reveals that the victims were attacked. Where? The night they were attacked. Using a blueprint of the home, Court TV reported that 2 of the 4 victims, Xana Kernodle and Ethan Chapin, both 20 years old, were in one of the bedrooms on the 2nd floor when they were attacked. And we do know that the house has 6 bedrooms, 2 on each floor, and each floor has a bathroom in it. Police said that the victims were found on the 2nd and 3rd floor, but didn't mention the exact rooms. But I think at this point we are starting to figure that out, aren't we? We know that the 2 girls, Maddie and Kelsey, were in one bedroom. They were in Maddie's room. And we do know that Xana and Ethan were in that one room, kind of tucked in the back a little bit. So they're saying that it is typically a very peaceful city, about 25,000 residents. According to police reports, the 4 students had spent a rather normal Saturday night socializing before the attacks, early hours of Sunday. They have not disclosed the exact time, but we do know that the coroner did place it between 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock in the morning. 2 more housemates did survive, and they were sleeping on the basement floor, as we know, and did not wake up until just a little before noon. So let's see here. Close that up. It couldn't have been 3 a.m. The girls were still texting. Yeah, actually, I'm thinking I might have made a mistake. I think those attacks were between 4 and 5. Just as I was saying it, I better take a second look. 2 of the victims in the same bed asleep. Yeah, this is the 2 girls that were best friends since like grade 6. And the one was moving out. So that room was like a mess. I don't even know if there was bedding on it. So they decided just to crawl in to sleep there. But I've never heard of them having any kind of relationship. So there's that, I guess. And Jack colored his hair. Yeah, has he? I've heard different reports. I know that one picture of him with the dog, his hair does look darker. And then a little while later, I heard that it was just the photos. So I'd be interesting to find out exactly. If you do find out, let me know. Herb, whoa. Yeah, right, AJ? Yeah. Yeah, I'm just starting to set up a file on him. He's quite the character. James, are you talking this case or the Herb case? He is, yeah, absolutely another serial killer, and a very wealthy one at that. So he would do what it was he did, and then they're still finding bones in that yard. Actually, they found some yesterday. John Showwater, his picture had him hunting, covered in blood, the hoodie guy. Right. So what I think I would like to know is that an area that is popular for hunting? You know, I know in the prairies here in Canada, everybody hunts. 2 of the victims, okay. Because I think Kaylee had mostly moved out. She was just sleeping. That's the way I understand it too, Sally. Exactly. What could these 4 people have done to deserve to die like that? Such a crazy, sad story. The sister did a lot of work herself. I was surprised to hear that. She did. She had all of the passwords for everything, so she was able to get in and figure out how she did this and how she did that. She has done a lot of work. And yeah, like Sally was saying, probably 2 by 2. And if this character was carrying the size of knife, I mean, that it's huge. My guess, you know, I'm just going to give my personal opinion, and that is all it is. I really think that they need to keep an eye on Jack D. There's motives all over the place in my mind. Let me know what you guys think, but in my mind, there's motives all over the place for him. Why does it feel like getting basic information from Ellie has become like, isn't that the truth? All of these cases, they're tight-lipped. You don't hear anything. And then you end up with all the different speculation. It was dark at the memorial. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I did do a video. I've got a playlist for these kids, and there's a fair amount of information in there. There's also, if you want to go on to Discord, it is in the link. There's a whole pile of information in there as well. Hello, Shauna. I'd say the murder would probably have scratches, maybe wounds on him. You know what? I totally agree. So does everybody else, James. You know, There's no way that he didn't have something on him. I couldn't even imagine, and I'm really hoping that they find something underneath the nails, right? So let's take a look at this. As soon as the ad's over, and then we'll go through the article. It's just there's always so much to learn. Nerd wallet.
Millions of people who have no idea whether or not they'll have heat throughout the entire winter. So this really is a dramatic issue.
I say no. No.
One that is a humanitarian crisis waiting to happen.
No. A student at the University of Idaho reported strange footprints that were found near her home, less than a mile away from the campus house where the kids were unalived. Now, I found that little bit of information quite interesting. Hopefully they took casts or do what they do. I really think they have more information than what we really know. So the university student reported the footsteps in the snow leading up to her back patio that weren't present when she left her home to go to class around 1 p.m. on Wednesday. This tip comes as police have reported a significant increase at the number of 911 calls claiming unusual circumstances and requests for welfare checks. So they're saying that they have collected more than 100 pieces of physical evidence, 4,000 photos, 3D scans of the house. As of Sunday, law enforcement officers have gotten 78 calls for unusual circumstances, 36 welfare checks, and that's an increase from the 70 calls and 18 welfare checks that had been the previous October. Officials in Moscow, Idaho, initially reported that they believed the deaths were a result of isolated target, but someone who had specifically looked at the residence. However, police have backtracked on these statements this past Wednesday, explaining that basically it was a miscommunication between the Latta County Prosecutor's Office. Detectives do not currently know if the residents or any of the occupants were specifically targeted. But we do know that the family members feel very different. So police are asking the community to submit tips or any possible relevant information by calling 208-883-7180 or emailing tipline@cimoscow.id.us. So share this out as much as you possibly can, and maybe somebody will see this and make the move that has to be done. Okay. Let's see, what are you guys talking about? Do you guys enjoy the think tank as much as I do? I love stopping what I'm doing, going through your comments. I love everybody participating. I think it's wonderful. And, to you guys that keep coming back, I really appreciate you. You're what makes me do it more, do it again. I've got fibromyalgia, and they now think that I've got osteoarthritis through my hips. So I'm not whining. I'm just explaining why I have all this time to deep dive and possibly, it gives me a purpose, possibly helps somewhere, somehow. I don't mind growing slowly. I mean, everybody is so awesome, but I'm going to continue to do this. And Once again, thank you for all of you guys that have taken the time to follow me. I appreciate you. So let's see here. Sally, it was someone that knew the house 100%. I agree with you because that's not a typical house. It's kind of like, what would my son call it? Like a Sims house, kind of pieced together. So he would have to know where he was going and what he was doing. This perpetrator brought that weapon with him. He had intent. Okay, I agree with you, Shauna. At least blood-soaked clothes. I mean, he would have had to have been covered. Can you imagine? There is a lot of foliage around there. There's a lot of trees. We'll take a look at some of these pictures in a bit here, but that top deck, anybody even slightly athletic could scale that and be on that deck in seconds. Does anyone know if the weapon was recovered? I'm so behind in the story because I was sick. I'm sorry. I hope you're feeling better, AJ. And no weapon. They're still missing it. They've basically put it down to what type of weapon it like they're looking for. Okay. No, I'll look for a picture. Bar, a great big frickin' knife. Kaylee had been home all week, just decided to go back in the last minute. Who knew? Exactly, Sally. Who would have known that she was driving back to show Maddie her new vehicle? And like you said, there's only a handful, if that, of people that knew she would have been there. I have visions of Jack sitting there watching that gut truck. I don't know. I hope I'm wrong. Let me see here. There we go. Sally, I agree. Probably need the layout and who would be there. Yes. And they will say, if they find DNA of them, oh yeah, I was there for several parties. Well, you see, that's the thing. I think anything that they get, they spent a lot of time in that house and they're constantly going back. So they're going to have to literally find that mixture. And once they see whose blood is where, and I mean, if they've got tracks in the blood, they know someone was there. And by the sounds of things, there's a good possibility of tracks. And all of these, when they use that particular weapon, there's usually injury to the human that's doing this. I was told once, and it makes sense in my mind, that substance is the same consistency as motor oil. So can you imagine covered in motor oil, you're going to slip. Sean, I don't think it's been, no, not yet. James, that's a really good question. Was there one target? That's kind of what they're working on right now. It's being said at this point that it was Kaylee, but of course we're not getting any kind of information as far as that stuff goes. But being that attack was described by her dad the way it was, she did even say to her dad at one point that she thought somebody was stalking her. The cops are saying, oh, that's unfounded, but it is something that she verbalized to her dad. So, yeah, was there one target? That's a great question. And like I said, in my mind, yes. They say Kaylee, but maybe she fought back harder. That's very possible, right? That's very possible. One of them was awake to see what was happening to the other one. So, yeah. I hadn't heard anything, kind of figured they didn't find one. Yes. Yeah, that it's worth $100. He's not throwing that away. And they're also saying that that is military, that is something the military gives you. That is what they use. So previous military, where did this thing come from? Oh, right, James? Terrible way to go. It's just, it makes your stomach sick. I think the one that had the most wounds would be the target. You know, and it, again, from what I've heard, it's not written in stone. I like that saying, my conspiracy, don't sue me. I love her. But it sounds like out of the two upstairs that, again, it was Kaylee that he concentrated on. Oh, do you, AJ? Oh, my word. How have you been feeling? This is the worst year for me yet. I literally, first time I ever tried them, I got cortisone shots in both my hips. And there's a little bit of a relief. I hope it lasts. And I'm sorry for your pain, AJ. I truly am. I understand. Turn negative to positive. You know what? I agree 100%, Shauna. 100%. I'd rather get my news from Franky than Don Lemon. Hey, thank you. I don't know who Don Lemon is, but thank you. I always love having you around, James. Lifton. A victim with less wounds could be because they were quickly subdued. That's agreed too. If the injury to Maddie is what they say, they're mentioning damage to her neck, and where possibly, how do I put this? One part was not attached very well to the rest of the part. So they could have he could have subdued her and continued to work on, sadly, Kaylee. Who's Lamont? Yeah. Even the coroner said it was like the worst. Now, I've seen the results of somebody bleeding out in a home. It's not pretty. It's not pretty at all. So I cannot imagine 4 of them. I could not. When I seen how much was in a human body, I was shocked. Here's another thing. Ethan and Xana got home around the same time. They sure did. But you know, Sally, nobody knows at this point where Ethan and Xana were from about 9 o'clock until about 1:45 in the morning. There's nothing. So that they've really been concentrating on trying to find out where these two were. I know that, I think it was Xana's mom said they were probably at the bar, but there has been nothing that has come out saying that they've got any footage, that anybody's seen them. So that it's almost a whole 5 hours is still like no clue. Kaylee and Maggie had to eat the carb. Yeah, they did. If they didn't end up with a food fight. Were they at the K-bar, do you think? Slingin', nice to see you. Okay, Shauna, you know what? That's all I can see is rage, unbelievable anger, and towards the rest were collateral damage, so to speak. I couldn't agree more. This is exactly, And this is exactly why my radar is still on Kaylee's boyfriend. Now, if you remember when Lacey Peterson died, look at how long they stood up for Scott Peterson. Like, her family, like, no way, don't even bother. And sure enough, he's in the Hooskow where he belongs. Yeah, AJ. Mainstream media is dead. I did hear him speak. He seems way too nervous. He couldn't find the right words to say. I don't believe that because he was nervous. I'm keeping my eye on him. I agree. I'll be watching him. That's for damn sure. I couldn't tell the last time I listened to MSN, many years. Oh, here too. Yeah, absolutely. I have my favorite content providers. I like a lot of the whodunit shows, you know, the Datelines, I like all of that stuff, but I can't remember the last time I watched a movie. I bet it's been 20 years. I mean, the killer was in that house while to shave their dog too. So there was no evidence. So this is the thing. Okay, we do know of that one little dog that was skinned and found dead. And this dog. So in order for this dog, in my mind, like, look at what this little animal has seen. He is damaged. Like, he's seen some really bad stuff. So if the person that was doing this attacking, if he happened to know that dog really, really well, there is a possibility a lot of noise did not come out of him, because everyone is saying that it was not the type of dog that barked much. So what if this killer actually knew the person that was doing the killing? MSM is trash. There were a lot of reports of an intruder prowler locally leading up to the killings. Hi, Perry. Absolutely, I agree with you. There was even the same night in that park that's just across the way from them. At 3 o'clock in the morning, the police were called because there was some drunk person threatening people. And this is roughly the time that, maybe that house was being watched. So the cops were absolutely in that area. Slinging, fighting, defensive. Exactly. Agreed. Do you get them as well? Yeah, I'm hoping. They said every 3 months here in Canada that I'll be able to get it. So I'm hoping that it lasts me. And so it does work for you a little bit. How long does it last, AJ? Yeah, that's what I heard. That it was basically hanging on by a thread. I don't know. It's F word all over the place. Oh, Perry. Even if one or two woke up, they would probably be disoriented, maybe even think a prank at first. Yeah, in my mind, I can see somebody creeping through the house, getting up those stairs, attacking the girls, because that, in my mind, seems to be where the most damage was with those two girls. So what if, while this was happening, what if Xana and Ethan could hear some noise that they just weren't quite sure what to make of it? So Ethan, being the guy, comes out to see what the hell's going on, and he runs into Knife Boy. Then you get your scuffle, and then all of a sudden you have to go deal with Xana because she's probably losing her shit a little bit. So with that said, now that brings up the two girls that were downstairs. From everything I have heard, they probably would not have heard anything, because they are saying that where they were punctured pretty much eliminated them fairly quick, that everything happened fairly quick, except for probably the few that fought back. But if they had already been injured in a certain way, they would not be making a lot of noise yet. Yes. Lifton, the stalkers have also been cleared. Oh, okay. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah, check out Mexie's Discord. Her and I spend a lot of time sharing information, and she is quite the sleuth. That's right, Shauna. Especially under the influence, you're done. You can sleep through a lot. So they are saying that the girls that were downstairs, they had also been out. You know, they'd also been out like the other ones were. So there's a good chance that they were intoxicated as well. How secure is Discord? I'm very confident in it. I've been using it for a little over a year now, and it's great. You can pop in, James, and I'll show you around. And if it's something you want to start up for yourself, it's not that hard, but it is a great way to share information. Maybe at one point, if this doesn't go on forever, I don't want to bore you guys, I can show you my Discord, because I do have a lot of information on this case in there. And at the same time, kind of show you how to set it up a bit. But I'm very comfortable with, but you know what? I use VPN, and I've got 2 VPNs. And yeah, I find it safe. Oh my God, I was so into the Lacey Peterson case. I know, right? Oh, Scott Peterson. I lived in Modesto around that time. Oh, is that right, Shauna? Wow. Did you see the circus that was going on around there? Perry, one of the kids' parents said the dog probably wouldn't bark. That is exactly what I heard. If it's not a targeted attack, there must be another Ted Bundy running about. And that is the thing. Because, I mean, what was that? Sorority Omega, I think? But yeah, the one thing is it's almost like Bundy, he was there to do some other things, you know. And this character, it seems to me, he was just pissed right off. And yeah. So was this person pissed off because his girlfriend was moving to Texas? I don't know. Do you think, yeah. Perry, do you think the dog knew the person? James, there is another crazy knife-wielding dude at the Gainesville, Florida. Yes, right? I thought for sure with the Drew Peterson case, since his first wife already, him, right? Cortisone shots last 2 to 3 months, depending on how much they give you. It's been 6 months since I had one. Okay. Yeah. Oh, I'll depend on them. If they mean that I'm not curled up in the fetal position, bawling my eyes out, I'm all over it. Can we ask how you seen someone bleed out? I pass out. Yeah, you can ask that. It's, a family thing. I had an uncle that was, relatively crazy. And he shot himself twice. He's dead now, but he did shoot himself twice. The first time he shot himself in the stomach with a shotgun. And when I went in to see him, I was only 15. He was nice enough to say, hey, look at this. Oh, nasty. And then when I was older, I will go through that PDF. Absolutely, friend. When I was a little bit older, I was in, mid-20s. He decided he was going to do this again, but he shot himself through the cheek with a mushroom cap bullet. And he ended up bleeding all over the house. The whole area had to be evacuated because my grandfather sadly was in that house with him on oxygen 24/7. So this uncle, he shoots himself at the end of his bed because he was all loaded up on all different things. And he was trying to get money out of my grandpa, and my grandpa wouldn't go for it. So he thought, well, I'll show you. I'll shoot in my face. And this guy knew he wasn't going to kill himself. He was a good shot. So anyways, he did proceed. They threw tear gas into the house. They had SWAT teams there. The area was evacuated. So anyways, they took him to the hospital after we got grandpa out of there and what have you. And he was pretty much bled right out, literally bled right out. They rushed him to the hospital, did whatever. But my grandpa wanted to go back home. And the people that do the biohazard cleaning would not go to the house because it was a weekend. So I spent 2 days cleaning up that horror show so my grandfather could go back to his home. So that's how I seen it. And yeah, I seen that with him 3-4 times. Okay. I remember Bundy breaking into the nurses' accommodation. Yes, he did. 2 or 3, 1 hurt. Absolutely. You should go through. Yeah, you know what? I've got it set up here, Blifton, so I think I'm going to do that. I was a young mom. I remember specifically looking at a pregnant woman who may have had a medical emergency, and to keep your eyes open. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's life, right? And I don't know, my motto's always been keep swimming. Sinking really is not an option, so I'll swim. Yeah. Well, I guess all I can say, instead of like I am who I am. So I a lot of times think it was because of that particular uncle, because I was raised in that. So to me, it makes me feel for all these people that have had to go through these absolute terrible things. And I think it is because of that stuff that I want to work so hard. You know, it wasn't an enjoyable experience, but you know what? That's history for you. Yeah. Thank you. And that's the way I look at it, James, you know. And like I said, sinking is not an option. It's not something that I'm willing to do. So, yeah, that's part of my story. If you guys heard my whole story, I'd turn you all gray. Okay, I just want to see if this is the right one. No. Okay. How would I do this first? 5. Okay. Here we go. So, press release, and this came out today. Moscow, Idaho. The Moscow Police Department is providing the following information to update the public on the known facts surrounding the 4 unalivings that occurred on November 13th in Moscow, Idaho. There have been statements and speculation about this case, victim injuries, cause of death, evidence collection and processing, and investigative techniques. With the active criminal investigation, law enforcement has not released additional facts to the family or the public. We recognize the frustration this causes, and the speculation proliferates in the absence of facts. However, we firmly believe speculation and unvetting information is a disservice to the victims, their families, and our community. The Moscow Police Department is committed to providing information wherever possible, but not at the expense of compromising the investigation and prosecution. Good on them. Detectives continue investigating what occurred from approximately 9 p.m. on November 12th to 1:45 a.m. on November 13th, when Ethan Chapman, and Xana Kernodle were believed to be at the Sigma Chi House on the University of Idaho campus at 735 Nez Perce Drive. Any interactions, contacts, direction, and method of travel, or anything abnormal could add context to what occurred. Detectives continue processing and working through more than 2,645 email tips, 2,770 phone tips, and 1,084 digital media submissions. We believe someone has the information that will add context to the picture investigators are creating of what occurred that evening. Our focus is the investigation, not the activities. Your information, whether you believe it is significant or not, might be one of the puzzle pieces that helps solve these murders. So, and they are saying, even though these are the timelines, anything even a little before and after these times could be imperative. Using tips and leads, investigators have identified an incident involving Kaylee at a local business, which may have been the stalker reference she made to family and friends. In mid-October, 2 males were seen inside of a local business. They parted ways, and one male appeared to follow Kaylee inside the business. And as she exited to walk toward her car, the male turned away, and it did not appear he made any contact with her. Detectives contacted both males and learned that the 2 were attempting to meet women at the business. This was corroborated through additional investigations based on available information. Detectives believe this was an isolated incident and not an ongoing pattern of stalking. No evidence suggests 2 males were involved in these murders. Sorry, I had to take a sip. Investigators continue to look into information about Kaylee having a stalker. Information about the potential stalker or unusual occurrence should go through the tip line. There have been numerous requests about the dog found at the residence on the morning of November 13th. Arriving officers entered the residence and found the deceased victims. During the search of their home, a dog was found in a room where the crimes had not been committed. Officers did not find any evidence on the dog, and there was no indication the animal had. So this dog, was put behind a closed door while these attacks happened. Now that is very interesting to me. Someone was really worried about this dog's feelings. While the dog was in the house when officers arrived, it had not been determined where the dog was physically located when the unalivings took place. At this time, no suspect has been identified, and only vetted information that does not hinder the investigation will be released to the public. There is speculation without factual backing, stoking community fears and spreading false information. We encourage referencing official releases for accurate information and updated progress. Tips: detectives are looking for context to the events that the people involved in these unalivings to assist with the ongoing investigation. Any odd or out of the ordinary events that took place should be reported. Our focus in the investigation are not the activities again. Your information, whether you believe it's significant or not, might be the piece of the puzzle that helps investigators solve these crimes. Information can be submitted, and I'll give these out again. 203-883-7180 is for tips. There's also email, tipline@ci.moscow.idh And the digital media, fbi.gov/Moscow, Idaho. A press release and information related to this case is available. Let's see here. I'll see if this is anything. Well, maybe we'll take a peek over there too. So yeah, that's what's going on with that. That there. Now that was from earlier today. Yeah, I'm not sure where Mexi is. She's probably working hard. Let's see here. Oh, I appreciate that, Jessica. Thank you very much. Thank you. Keep on swimming. I just told my grandbaby that. Exactly. Ah, there's Mexi, Shauna. You're missed, my friend. Okay, let's see. I think I've got one more that we can go through. Let's take a peek. So this is News Nation. Let's see if I can bring up what their former air marshal. Okay, this is from today also. University of Idaho stabbing victim Kaylee Goncalves' injuries were significantly more brutal than the other 3 victims. News Nation's Brian Enton confirmed Sunday. So that tells us a lot right there, doesn't it? Boom. So who's going to be that mad at Kaylee? I wonder. Her injuries were significantly more brutal than her best friend Madison, which may end up being a very important piece of evidence when it comes to determining the target. 3 weeks ago, the unthinkable happened when 4 university students were brutally unalived. 2 of the victims, Goncalves and Mogan, were close friends, sleeping in the same bed that night that they were killed. That just blows me away. Not that they were like sharing a bed, that this man, in my mind, male, attacked these people to the point where he unalived them. They couldn't fight back. Like these poor kids. So this is also, again, where the parents are saying the 2 victims that were killed on November 13th do not match. They had different types of attacks. Former CIA and FBI agent Tracy Walder discussed the possibilities that the killings were targeted attack during an appearance. Yes. Some of the ways that we can know it was targeted is the manner in which some of these victims were unalived. And let's see here. What you might see in a situation like this is sort of like a gross overkill of one of the victims, and that the others just might simply have gotten in the way. The father and family of Kaylee also questioned if the police were too quick to eliminate some of the people they thought were connected to this case. The family said November 13th to Brian Enton, police have ruled out a number of people as potential suspects, something that they would like to have more information on. And again, I understand that these parents are so frustrated, but they got to be patient because anything that they're saying to the media is almost like a direct line to this attacker. Let's see here. That's all that they've got there. So this is, let's see here. Nope. Nope, nope. Good night, James. So that is what we've got. Let me see if there's anything out here else you might be interested in. Here, actually, I don't think we've seen this, so we'll do this before we pop off. Okay.
I've been told that there were differences in the way that the victims were killed. Some were more severe than the other. And this week we heard the target attack walk back and then reverse it back to it being a target attack. What can you tell us about the targeted attack?
They have told us that it was targeted, but they told us they can't tell who. We asked specifically, and they said, we'll try to get that information to you. And they got back to us a day or so later, and they said, we're sorry, we can't give you that information. But then a day later, we saw in the news that it was not targeted, or they think the whole house was targeted. But
I'll cut to the chase.
Yeah.
Their means of death don't match.
Maddie's
They don't.
and Kaylee's cause of death, it does not match based on the autopsy report.
They don't match.
Would indicate that one of them.
He doesn't have to
may
go
have
up
been
the
target.
steps. Let's stop playing games, guys. I need somebody to step up and be an alpha, be somebody to be a leader. Don't make me do it. I don't want to do it. He doesn't have to go up those steps. Their points of damage don't match. I'm just gonna say it. Wasn't leaked to me. I earned that. I paid for that funeral. I paid for that. It's my right. You ain't taking that from me.
Calm down.
If you don't want to say nothing, that's your bet. But don't say I'm leaking anything. I paid that bill. Sent my daughter to college to get an education. She came back in the box, and I can speak on that.
How sad. Oh, my word. Down. There we go. So, let's see. 22 days to make it look fast on the show, the first four, right? Yeah. Oh, I agree, Maxie. And I don't blame him. I don't blame him. I couldn't even explain what kind of reaction I would have if I was in the same situation as him. So I'm, yeah. Well, hi there. Welcome. So what I do have is they did put out a little bit of a press release. I'll double check that's not everything we just went through. And we'll kind of end with that. If there's nothing else, we'll yep. It's all stuff that we went through earlier. So, guys, thank you very much for joining me. I really do appreciate you. And I hope you enjoyed the content today. I will be keeping my eyes peeled for anything else that might happen. This case is just nonstop. There's constantly new updates. There's constantly new information. And it's why the playlist is getting a little bit bigger. There's just constantly new information. So I will keep you guys updated with everything. And until then, I will see you in the next one. Bye.